I'm going to walk through what I've learned with my FlipFluids simulations I've been doing over the last while. I haven't posted one in a while because I'm actually just done. I do not care about making any more. I've done 100. I've learned what I need to learn from them. But I figure I should go over everything that you might need to know if you were going to create one. Um, Pretty much you just got to create a domain. You can do this a couple of different ways. You can actually do this or add an object like, I don't know, cone, and be like create domain, and it'll make it perfectly to around that object. We don't really need that for what I'm going to cover through most of this. And you can't actually bake anything until you save the thing. So we're going to save as uh, whatever demo because we cool. All right, so we got this domain, right? And we can do this a couple of different ways. We can I might as well just talk through each of these independently. So this is the resolution. This will determine how big your water particles are. This is the multi-threading. I was just kind of keeping it on auto detect. I have two video cards and a, what is it, 32 thread CPU. So, I just use those. The output, this is where it's going to render everything out to. Prepare your geometry tools. This converts, so say we added a mesh like like this guy right here, and then we put a modifier to it. I don't know, something like subdivide surface, right? What that'll do is please be nice. This looks really ugly, but whatever. So what it'll do is it'll actually auto apply these things for you instead of anything else. And that kind of covers what would that do. An important thing to know is if you're going to move your geometry, you should, and I mean absolutely should, well, first we have to make it a property that can be moved. Say it was an inflow, right? And I want it to constantly inflow but animate while inflowing. You go to your physics tab on it, and this will be our FlipFluids. Sorry about the crush thing. I usually do this on a much larger monitor. Let's see here. So we change our inflow, and we have to say export the animation mesh. So it'll record the animations, and then you can do whatever you want with them. Everything is keyable. You can do your emission substeps, how much this is going on, enabled, off, enabled, and that's kind of how I made the fountain animations, was turning these on or not. And you can do a target, so that way it aims towards a target, which could be a null or another object. The axis, this is the one that I would prefer to use if I was going to say go up or down or left or right. This one you can kind of do things. It's just it's less helpful, the vector version, compared to axis or target. I would rather use a target or an axis than the vector one almost any day. If you do enable color, we'll just go to this. Under surface, under your flip domain, surface, you can go to surface attributes and turn on color mixing. This is also a property you have to turn on in your preferences. Boom. I'll bring that over. So, in enabled only, FlipFluids. Alright, so we have this mix box install. When you get it, this is the Humble Bundle version I'm using, you can install the mix color kind of system. And it's really, really helpful and really fun and cool. And I'm very happy with doing mix color ones because of that. I learned a lot about it as far as how you mix them and everything like that, but we'll cover that a little later. Skip hidden render objects. I just leave that one alone. It's really not necessary. So we'll close that down. The next one is your add remove objects. And we already created a domain, because it kind of auto asks us to do that anyway. Then you can create an obstacle. These are things that will run into it, like, I don't know, a rock or any shape you want. Then you can say, this is a fluid. And when it starts simulating, I'll just do a quick bake here. It's not going to have a lot to do because I have it on a low resolution. And I'll just stop it right there. And we'll go to the timeline, and look, it kind of made that. Now, I want to cover one thing that's been bothering me a lot in some of my older animations, because I didn't realize this. So, this is your fluid surface. This is the thing that is the blob. it drove me nuts that you see these bumps, you know, that are just like, it looks bad. Well, under the modifier for that thing, which is auto already on there, by the way, I like to put this at 3.5 and then repeat for 5. Look at all those bumps smoothed out. And this is on a low resolution, so you can still get cool stuff with a low resolution that looks nice and smooth. It's not about just using a higher resolution. So you can achieve stuff that is more performance issued. But if you look at 0.5 again, you'll see it gets chunky again. And when it gets up into this point, you see those hard drops. So you can just kind of raise these up. And I did determine that 3.5 is pretty much my go-to for this one. So 3.5 and a repeat of 5. If you repeat it once, clearly nothing happens. 2 times is probably even fine. But, ooh, we can make it look chunky and ugly now if we want. 5 times that, we can really mess up this smoothing. But anyway, without that even being involved, and we're going to put it back to 3.5 because that is my preferred, we can move on to the next thing. We have inflow, which is actually, so it'd be like a faucet. It turns in. This is something you might want to set the velocity on. Let's remove this one real quick. So under selected objects, where is it? Actually, I believe we can just select the cylinder and say remove. Yeah. And then we can reset this so it loses everything. Now we have my horrible looking cylinder smooth that exists in here, right? So if we want to make it an inflow, now when we bake, it'll constantly try to flow in fluid, and we're going to get like, I don't know, let's do it for like 20. So now that you're seeing this, it's flowing the liquid out of that object, right? And that's cool. And we can just add a mesh. I'm going to add another mesh here, and we're going to make this one an outflow, right? And you'll see an outflow when we do this. Like I said, I'm just going to let it render for about 20 frames. And you'll see that when anything runs into that, it just eats it, you know? So you can have a river on one end, and if you don't want to constantly have more fluids going to the other. I will say also, this is your bounding box. It kind of stinks. I hate bounding boxes in some ways, but it's okay, you know? Say we don't want this to be an outflow, though. We want it to be an obstacle. Here we go. Reset, okay. It'll do a similar thing in the fact that it starts going, but it's working around it in more of a I'm hitting this kind of way. It doesn't eat the fluids. The next thing we could do is, I'm going to delete that. Let's add another mesh. I just like going with a sphere, whatever. Take this one, bring it up here, go R. Shrink it down. So now we're going to check out force. Force is cool. And by the way, all the properties for each one of those things is always under the physics tabs for fluids. They all have their own thing that they can do. We're going to stop you because I don't actually need you in here. Reset this. So this one, I'm going to say that there's different kinds of forces. So there's a point force, which is, it's nice. It just only can either pull or push away. So you have the strength of pulling or pushing away based off of that. There's also the surface one, which is pretty much the exact same thing, but it'll work with the outer limits of the object, I believe, in comparison. And it is a gravity scale kind of thing. So, and it's weird because negative actually pulls towards, whereas positive pushes away. I believe that's the orientation for what a flip fluid does. So like now that we're doing this, see how it's kind of pulling it with like a gravitational force towards that direction? Okay, now if we really ramp it up to like 50, it'll pull all of it in there. We'll bake it again. and now it's just going straight towards our force of our object. And if you want to put your strength back down or towards -10, it'll push away from it, you know? So I think this is pretty self-explanatory. So, oops. Oh, I have it at -10. Regular 10. Resets. Okay, bake it again. We get 20 frames showing and demonstrate that it's pushing it away now. See, it's kind of pushing everything towards the left here. All right, now that we've kind of covered some forces, and there's some, trust me, there's different kinds. You can always change your object to have that enabled and disabled, and I was having a lot of fun with that when I was playing around learning these things. But I also know that there's a max force limit. So let's talk about the fall-off power, actually. So what I like to do is I will set a distance sometimes. If I want something to, I don't know, fling around an object, I'll make a minimum distance or a maximum distance. I did something else a while back in one of my projects. Let's just open, oh man. There's this one where I have a wave that is made, and all I did was take a curve that was like this and duplicate it down a path, like, you know, multiple of them going down, and I made it so it was a flow force instead, where it was a curve guided force. I need a curve. Add a curve. Let's just do a Bezier W, move you over here. So we got this thing. It's on the axis I'd like it to be. And let's do a little editing to this just so we can, you know, get a fling. All right. So now that I have this curve, which I am very happy as a weird little Bezier curve, we can go to force. And we're going to make it a force. Now it's a curved guided force. Cool thing about curved guided forces is they do have the attraction just as the other, and it uses the whole curve as the attraction. The flow, if you put this to 0, the flow is just a, this is how I made the wave. I really want to pull that one up. Excuse me for a minute while I find some of my renders. FlipFluids. I don't remember which one the wave was. I mean, it was nearing the end. Was this? No, that was when I was doing fluids differently. Anyway, now I kind of feel like I'll just cut that out. So we want to send it along this, right? So we're going to put that flow strength to 50. But you want to create a fall off for this, because this one, it will, really the only flow you need is 1, because that will do a lot. And it keeps along that curve as strength is on there. The fall off power, I'd say maximum distance is something you'd want to actually adjust, but I will move this curve in now, and we can watch this one get to it as well. So it should kind of push some fluid in a curve like this. It does go quite slow. So yeah, we're not actually seeing it reset. Screw it. We'll just increase the strength to something ridiculous. And we will see a result of, oh, you know what? This is upside down. It does work from point A to point B. So if we rotate this, I don't know if I did that right. Hang on. Let's just do it this way. On the Y 180. There we go. Wow. That's not the one I was hoping for. I thought that was the Y-axis, the green. Yeah, it is. I see. 360. Or, no, 180 makes sense. Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh, 270. Now it should be flowing correctly. Reset. Okay, bake it again. and now it is flinging it along that curve, which is why I was trying to do this as a different kind of flow. Put you back to 1, because I know 1 is 100 is incredibly strong. Reset, bake it again, and now it's got this force. It's too weak. Oh, gravity's in the way. I usually turn gravity off for this. Sorry. We'll go 5. Stop, reset, do it again. Anyway, this is literally me trying to show you what I've learned, and it looks as though I've learned nothing, but I swear to you I have learned things. It's fighting against gravity, so it's kind of flinging it. You know? Look at that little whoosh. So, that's what the flow does. It flings it. Spinning actually spins it around the object. So if we turn this off and we put this to like, I don't know, 50, you're going to see it kind of create a crazy splash around thing. 10's actually more than enough. Reset. And we're going to bake it again. And now it's going to start flinging stuff around a little bit. Let's get in there to where we can see the axis of spin happening. It's not doing that because we have this giant sphere. But yeah, you see, it's flinging stuff around in a spin. And if we had a traction strength up to like 10, or actually negative 10, it would climb up it and spiral. And that's how you get this one to work in that way. Anti-gravity, it's usually working against gravity, so you don't have to do anything like that. You can change this, the anti-gravity scale, so that way maybe it fights against gravity for a little bit. I don't really see the point in changing that. Most of the time I'm trying to do something else. Yeah, it's really not going to work in this kind of situation I have playing. Anyway, that is kind of how the curve guided force one is. It's a very fun one. The volumetric one is literally tries to, yeah, it's just very similar to the point. So whatever, those are the forces. Forces are fun. You can have a lot of fun playing around with those and finding different use cases for each one of them. So we're going to remove this, delete this guy out. Let's make my cylinder smaller because I'm just kind of tired with this. Okay. Fun things to do that you could do after all these. You can choose all the selected objects that are inflows and stuff like that. Fluid surfaces, bubbles, foam. And you can. One thing I wasn't doing, and I'm really annoyed with myself because this could have helped a lot of my renders in the earlier times, and I really need to share this because I was quite upset with myself. In the Where are you? I think it's command line tools. Yeah. I was not baking my animation. So anytime you saw particles just kind of flickering from the whitewater simulation, which might as well cover that too. In the domain, this is where a lot of the real magic of this thing happens, is working with the domain. So the domain has a lot of material. So in there, we can have our simulation. We can turn off. This is also that same button that's at the top here. Run your simulation, the resolution, world scale. You can change things like that. If you want to do slow motion, this is where I would do that. I've played with this one by doing 0.5. It's half the speed of whatever's going in there. The cache, I really haven't messed with this because it's just, where it caches the attributes for the, object that we're doing. Display, this also is not really anything that you're going to have to mess with. That's the sound when you just let it run all the way through. So now we have this simulation that's just filling up with a curve I deleted. Okay, but under surface, this is where you can change your... I never really fought against any of these as well. The only ones I really messed with was turning on the color mixing, because there's really no reason to change the rendering. This is just for your preview sake versus what actually renders out. Meshing against obstacles, we can say inside the surface, on the surface, outside the surface, which is a nice way to do things like that. There's these other ones for if you're going to go into geometry nodes, I think would be much more helpful. Oh, also, if you create a shader that is using multi-mixing stuff, you have to go into shading. Here we'll go, and we'll make a new one. And this is the easiest thing to do. We just add an attribute that'll have the color that we picked for our thing. So you would write flip color, and that will be the color of your FlipFluid surface when you enable the color. So let's just show that working right now. Let's actually take two of these. Take you, Control C, paste, and I'll move you over here. This one, we have to enable the color property. So let's go to domain, we go to surface, we go to this, we're going to do color and mixing. We can take this one and we're going to say you're white, sure. And this one, I'm going to do my favorite color, orange. I've memorized the hex code because I'm a nerd. So there's my orange. And now if we reset this and we bake it, now what you'll see is they each, are not showing their colors, but they are their colors. And we are able to get fluid simulation based off of these two colors. And they mix, you know, as they go. See how they became like slightly sludgier stuff. That's cool. But another thing, let's see here. I like to do whitewater. You enable your whitewater simulation. And this is one that also, this is the thing that was messing with me the most. If you do not bake your animation, you will have glitchy whitewater. You can probably get away once or twice without it, because I've seen some of mine, and I was like, well, it's working here. Why didn't it work the other place? It's because I didn't bake it. So I really highly say bake your animations and generate, let's see here, I would launch the command line version of renderer, but I would generate a batch file. So I'd say launch the bake. So it's baking the thing. It'll do this thing where it kind of pumps out all the things, right? And then the other is it would say, and then you can say launch the render, and it'll render off those depending on how you set up your render animation. I don't actually have everything set up for rendering right yet, but I just wanted to show that this is how you fix the issue that I was having. Okay. That being said, that's how you get whitewater to actually render properly. Now, let's cover actually the whitewater properties. So in domain, going back to the physics tab, this is actually a quicker way to set up all your materials for the whitewater thing. And there is a motion blur version. I will also say that this is way too huge. I have been going 0.002 for most of these because they're just huge for how big these go. Okay, and the foam, I would always choose, this is where you choose the materials. You can go through each one of them individually and have a horrible time, or you can just go to the domain and go to where those are and do them all together. So we have the foam, the bubble. Okay, what is, hang on, am I having a lag? Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Woo! Took a second, had a little hiccup. Alright, so yeah, after that we go to bubbles. Bubbles are really cool. I overused that material to try to make a boiling liquid one time. And it worked kind of. I don't know. I was still learning. It was in an early phase. And then spray, we choose spray. And then dust, we choose dots. You could use other things for those, but if we reset this and then we bake it again, I'm just going to let this run for a little while longer. And I'm keeping the resolution low because I'm really trying to show performance as we go. Because what I would typically probably put most of these up to is 150, 200. One time I tried 500. It's a really silly resolution to do. You can get away, you could do it And you can also do this in a render farm. Oh, by the way, I'm also going to make a deadline install tutorial. Hopefully that might be fun. So, yeah. Anyway, now that we have that, let's watch all those white water particles splash around. Okay, we can see them, but they're not super visible. See these little white hazes? You can kind of see them down here even. Those are the white water particles. If we go to this mode, we can do something. One thing I was liking doing was when I go to shading, and I would choose, say, let's choose like the spray. Spray usually gets pretty wild. I would do this. Something like that. We could probably actually just do 2. Go look at this in the render view, and now we have these glowing sparkly bits, right? As well as we should really add a light. So just add in the sun. And maybe we can mess with these liquids a little more. There's a whole lot you can do with the materials in here, but yeah, let's just get the transmission up, alpha down, throw in a Fresnel. Sorry, I called it a Fresnel. Fresnel on the emission. Boom. Oh, also, I'm not in cycles. I'm so used to being in cycles. I wish it was that automatically. I could probably do that for myself. And I have been learning that 128 is more than enough half the time for what I'm trying to just accomplish with a quick render when I was doing dailies. And let's see if we can get more out of each of these. So the foam, I did shrink them down. It also does not have an illumination. But we can choose, let's make this big again. See, look how big that foam is on top of here. And they're spheres. They're not meta balls, they're not anything else. They're just actually spheres, which is why I've been kind of keeping them at a 0.002. Because, and we can increase how many seen in the preview to like 100, and then you have to move a frame just to see it happen. But this is also at really low resolution, so it's having a hard time seeing anything. Anyway, that being said, that's how you kind of play with the whitewater simulations. Let's continue on to other cool things. Okay. Under world, this is a place I spend a lot of time. We have the gravity and force field. If I like to set to 0 gravity, we can get some cool things happening. So if we reset it, you'll see that nothing even goes anywhere. I think we're pretty much just going to have a sphere in the sky, nothing happening. It's kind of boring. Whee. But that's when you start adding in things like, I don't know, let's add in NURBS circle. A NURBS circle. What am I doing? Add curve. Yeah, circle. What am I feel like I'm confused sometimes. We'll make that a force. And this is just to demonstrate some other stuff. And we'll go back to the top, reset. Okay, bake it again. Now we should have those things kind of being attracted to the curve of this. Did I not make it a force? Oh, it's not. Force. There we go. And attraction strength. Let's do a spin strength of like 5. Alright. Stop. Reset. Okay. Bake it again. And now what we have is it's going to get pulled into these guys and get forced around. So now we have some cool fluidy stuff doing fluid things. All right, still at a low resolution, so things look really crappy. But as we add in more up the resolution to this, which we'll do in a while, I just don't want to, we can do some more cool things. But first, flip domain. Flip domain is a the area I'm trying to stick to. Okay, viscosity. This makes things like honey. It just makes things hard. They don't stretch as easily or anything like that. Surface tension. This prevents things from being little droplets all the time. It keeps them together. Actually, let's stop this. If I turn these guys instead of being inflows just to being fluid, right? And set you back to your fun color because I noticed you changed. And reset this. And we set the resolution up to 50, right? Oh god, more than 50. Why did I say 50? 120, something like that. We bake it again. This is going to take a little extra time to get those frames in though. But I chose to do this because it will save effort with having less fluids. So as these guys splash apart, see how they are kind of, did I turn it on? I'm trying to remember. Did I turn on, I'm in world, done with gravity. Oh, okay. See how these are chunked off? Here we go. See how these chunks are different? If we enable surface tension, stop, reset, and also sheeting effects, you'll get some really cool different things. So this is kind of how I made that stringy fluid that you'd see in my shorts. Okay, we gotta wait a second. If you're curious what my GPUs are, I'm running a 1080 Ti and a 3070. I know I'm out of date. Like the 50 series is out now, but these guys are they're still champs. They're still able to do things. But this is where I was trying to get to. See how they are staying together? They choose, instead of fighting to be apart, they will choose to stay together in things. That being said, there's a math problem that happens. The fluid will consistently become more fluid. So it's kind of like it's multiplying itself as it keeps doing more things. So I have a video of that one as well. You know what? I'm going to pull up some of these videos just from YouTube just because I don't feel like trying to find them another way to explain what's happened here. YouTube Studio, the content, and I got a playlist here, and we will go to the channel for it. Okay, we're gonna turn off the volume for all this stuff. We're coming back in here. So the ones that I've been kind of thinking about trying to talk about here is to get stringiness like this. This happens from that surface tension and other one. So in here, when we choose surface tension and sheeting effects, it's able to do that. But funny thing, in that same thing right here, I did a really early video because I was just trying to see if I could force a one water droplet to move around. It's this one. As it hits, it got larger, and it's going to hit again on another wall, and it gets larger. And then, but look at the original size to that. It is small. It was a small amount of liquid, so it does multiply itself as it goes inside of those. Okay, I just wanted to demonstrate that because it always kind of bothered me. It's one of those things where it's like, friction. Friction is one of those things basically at zero, or obstacle friction, regular. Whatever the default value is kind of normal. It's not. I haven't been able to figure out a way to make things stick harder to things, but you can make them slide off easier because it kind of goes from 0 to 1, and 1 is just regular, and 0 is it doesn't feel like it's even touching it. So that's kind of a downside as far as that go. Materials, same thing. Advanced. These also didn't really play with too much. Debugging, these are just to help you find that out in stats on your render. So really the fun places are world, surface, and simulation, and whitewater. All the rest you're really not going to use as far as the FlipFluid domains are being used, but you can get quite a ways with just those ones involved. Also, let's stop this thing, reset it. Okay, I'm gonna change something about this, and this is just to let you know how to add something in. We're gonna add in a mesh a icosphere. Why not? We're gonna make it big, put it in here. We're gonna move these guys inside now. What we're gonna do, this is how you make a container that's different. You would end up taking this, and then we go to be an obstacle, but we say inverse. And now, and we gotta turn off visibility of that guy. Now, when we simulate, it won't be hitting to the square corners of the box. It'll be hitting to the icospheres. And, man, I really want to make this. Let's just go back to 65. Reset so we can get further, faster. So, boop, 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 boop. It's going to hit those icosphere walls. And see how it's working with inside of that now. And this will fill up because it's got that issue that I was talking about. But the icosphere is the bounding of the fluids as they simulate. And now we have this really messed up meshy ball. It's got a bubble on the inside. See, we're inside the bubble. Woo! Anyway, so that's how you kind of change the container from being whatever it is you're trying to do and another one. I have examples of things like this as well. I made some fun ones where I was just testing to see if you put the liquid here, does it work like actual fluid and move its way to the other side? Absolutely. That is part of what makes this equal, and it will be level. It tries to level it off just like in real life. I did hook my fluid sims up to a character just to see, but you know, it gets messy because I put it on every limb. And you know, you do more simulations, you try more things, and then you learn what works. And this comes down to, I wish I had baked. See all that jittering happening? If I had baked this, there wouldn't be that shimmer that's happening there. The one where it first hit me that I was having this happen was quite a ways back, and I didn't solve it until way later. So I feel kind of silly that I missed it. Where are you? This one. Where, see all that? Oh, it was driving me nuts. Could not figure out what it was. And that is literally, like I said, you just have to bake it and do command line render, and it'll come out perfect. It's really all it comes down to. Anyway, I hope this was educational. This covers how FlipFluids works. It's one of the things that made me have a lot of fun in Blender. I'll be honest, I was new to Blender a little bit. I had rigged a character once and I had tried modeling a few things, but doing an everyday challenge of trying FlipFluids really got me way more familiar with the software, and I feel way more comfortable with it now. I've actually been starting to learn geometry nodes now. I actually even learned the compositor, which I'm really happy about. Things that you just kind of didn't know about. Like, I just learned recently that I didn't even know that this is here. There is a thing for volumes, and it just makes it look beautiful. You can add a volume to the render, and it helps. I need to play with it a little bit more, but I was very excited to see that because it made it look just beautiful. Anyway, please continue to check out my channel as I grow. This is Mark Matta with Subpixel LLC. Let's talk again, or please consider subscribing. Thanks. Bye.